Good morning, all of you. Today we shall discuss about the remaining part in this module 2, why generic collections is needed. So we have discussed many interfaces and classes that are present in the generic collections. So the entire collection framework has been redesigned in the JDK5. So when JDK5 was released, so this collection framework was added with all these classes and interface what we discussed. So collection framework is the single most important use of generics in entire Java APIs. And the reason for this is the generics add the type safety to the collection framework. So when we say type safe, which means we can create a generic collection with any data type without needing to recode or reprogram anything. We have also seen the many examples programs in old style without use of collections also. So prior to generics, all the collection objects were stored as a reference. So when we store the objects in the collection, when we want to retrieve it, it will be the programmer's responsibility to typecast it to appropriate type. So objects are stored as references can lead to errors because it required that the programmer need to take care that appropriate type needs to be specified and the compiler has nothing to do with the typecasting. When we declare a list or array list of strings, it is the programmer who needs to typecast it whenever the objects needs to be retrieved from the collections. But with the use of generic collections, the compiler will take care of that typecasting. Another problem with the pre-generic collection is that when we retrieve a reference from the collection, we must manually cast that reference into proper type. And that is why it can lead to errors. Whereas in collections, with using the next method, we can extract the subsequent elements from the collection without any errors. So this is the inconvenience that has been always caused to cast a retrieved reference into an appropriate type. So this lack of type safety will lead to a serious problems. So object can be cast into any type of object. So when I say object, it is the object class that is the base class of all the classes in Java. So if you have an object of object type, then it can be casted to any type. But when doing so, we may do it to a wrong type. So when we typecast it to a wrong type, then obviously the exceptions will occur. So the addition of generics in the Java will lead to the extension of the usability and safety of the collections. So there are mainly two reasons uh, why this safety is being provided or the generics that is providing us the facility is because the collection ensures that only reference to an object of appropriate type is stored in a collection. So a collection will always contain references to a known type because when we create the collection, we will specify what type of data it is going to hold, whether it is strings, integer, or any other object, student type or employee type. So all the things we will specify ourselves. So that is known in the beginning itself, but it is not in the case when we use a simple array list. That example also we shall see. And this eliminates the need to cast a reference retrieved from a collection. So instead, a reference retrieved from a collection is automatically cast into a appropriate type, and it will reduce the runtime errors due to invalid cast and avoid the entire range of errors that a programmer can commit. So we shall look at to an example of uh, array list, uh, which belongs to pre-generics era. So consider this older version of a program without generics. In the utility package, again, array list was present. A new array list can be declared like this. Remember here, we are not specifying the data type while declaring an array list. So which means this array list is capable of holding any type of data. It can collect basic strings, integer, student object, employee object, any kind of object it can hold. And in order to add the elements to this, so we can add list.add like that, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these strings have been added using the add method. So remember, all these four are strings. Now we can obtain an iterator for this particular array list, that is list.iterator. So an iterator will be written using has next element. We can iterate. So here the iterator name is itr. So itr.next will extract the next elements from the array list. So here it is our responsibility to typecast it to string. See, while adding, it doesn't matter. We can simply add. But while extracting the objects from the array list, we must explicitly typecast it here to a string. And then we can print it. So string we are extracting and its length we are printing. And you can observe the output here: 1, 3 characters, 2, 3, 3, 5 characters, and 4 is 4 characters. Like this, we have obtained the output. But if we, instead of typecasting it into a string, if we typecast it to an integer, then it will lead to exceptions. So you can just see there is a exception. So old style and unchecked, unsafe. So these kind of exceptions has been raised. So here the compiler will not take care of these things. The programmer has to look into these things and solve the issues. The same program, we can have it in generics without having to worry about the typecasting. So let us modify the same program. So here we need to put the uh, data type. So let us add it as string, and here also we need to add, that is string. So let us remove these comments. So now, based on the generics, we have added the data type. So the same 4 elements will add. Now the same iterator also we need to mention. The iterator type is a string. For iterator also, we will specify the data type as string. Then we can simply, no need to cast it. So we can remove this typecasting, and again let us run it. So again we got the output. Here whatever we cast we have made, that is not necessary when we use generics. So when it is not necessary, we have removed a part which is capable of raising errors or which can cause errors. So that is the advantage of using the generics. So for that we have to put the data type while declaring the array list, and also while having the iterator. So now this ArrayList is capable of holding references to object of type string. So because of the support for the raw types, it is not necessary for immediately update older collection code. So that's why both the things are present in the collection framework. So addition of generics to collection framework is a improvement to utilize the programming features efficiently and also reduce the burden on the programmer. So the next topic is the legacy classes and interface. The legacy class means that is the older classes and interface. So before the addition of collection framework, we had a utility package. In this utility package, prior to generics, some classes and interface were present in order to support the collection on a specific data type. So the collections were added in the Java Standard Edition 1.2. The several classes were present. These are the original classes. They have been re-engineered to support the collection interfaces. So they are still, compatible with the framework. The classes which were present in the original edition, so all of them are present even today. They are not been deprecated. So where a collection duplicates the functionality of a legacy class, we will usually want to use the collection with the new code. So none of the collection classes are synchronized, but all legacy classes were synchronized. So this is a one major difference between the legacy class and the current collection classes. Uh, so still the collection classes can be synchronized through the means of the algorithms that we discussed. The various legacy classes that were present in the java.util package are dictionary, hash table, properties, stack, and vector. And this legacy interface has only one interface, that is enumeration. And we will discuss each one of them in detail. The enumeration interface defines the methods using which we can enumerate the elements of the collections. So here enumerate means, iterating over one element at a time or obtaining one element at a time. So this is the legacy interface, and this has been superseded by the iterator. So the enumerator of the legacy or older versions is now the iterator. So even though we have a iterator, so this enumeration has not been deprecated. So enumeration is considered to be a absolute for a new code. So however, it is still being used by several methods and legacy classes. Vectors and properties still use this enumerations. And declaration of enumeration is like this. So interface enumeration E. So the same enumeration has been refitted in JDK5 also. So this is the JDK5 declaration, that is enumeration E, interface enumeration E, where E is the type of the element that is being enumerated. So this particular interface has two methods, that is Boolean has more elements and next element. So has more elements return true while there are still more elements to extract. So if more elements are still present in the collection, then it will return true. If we have exhausted all the elements, then it will return false, which means no more elements are there in the collection to iterate over. The next element returns the next object in the enumeration, and its return type is E. and E is nothing but the type that is being enumerated. So this next element throws an exception, that is no such element exception if we try to extract the element and there are no elements in the collection. So that is why has more elements and next elements are used in tandem. Before extracting the element, we will check whether the element is present in the collections or not in order to avoid the exception. So this is about the enumeration interface. The next we shall see the class, that is the vector class. So the vector class is the legacy class that was present in the utility package. Vector implements the dynamic array. So dynamic array means an array which can grow as and when elements are added, and its memory gets shrinked as and when elements are removed. And its size we need not specify during the compilation time. So this is similar to array list, but there are two differences with array list and vector. That is, vectors are synchronized. So as I mentioned earlier, that all the legacy classes were synchronized. Now compare it to the collection, that is the generic collections. So it contains many legacy methods that are not part of today's collection framework. So with the introduction of collections, vectors has been redesigned or re-engineered to extend the abstract list and to implement the listing interface. So abstract list and list interface are built on vectors only. So in JDK5, um, vector has been refitted for generics and to implement the iterable interface. So vector is fully compatible with the collections, and vectors can have its content iterated by the enhanced for loops only. That is the for each variant. So vectors can be iterated using for each loop also. So the declaration of a vector will be class vector E. So where E is the type of the element that is being stored. And this vector contains four collections. So the first one is without any parameters, that is the default vector. The size of the default vector is 10. The second form is a vector, it takes a size. So this size is the initial capacity. So initial capacity of the vector, a vector will be created with this particular size. So as and when the vector grows, the size gets increased. And in the third constructor, so both size and the increment value is specified. So here the increment specifies the number of elements to allocate when the vector is resized upwards. So currently remember the size is 20. When the 21st element needs to be added, the size of the vector has to be increased. Now, by what amount the size has to be increased? That has to be specified by this particular increment value. So if the increment value is 10, then 20 plus 10, the vector size gets incremented to 30. So this increment specifies the number of elements to allocate each time a vector size has been increased. And the last one is the constructor, where we will specify the collection itself. So a vector will be created from the collection element. But the condition is the collection element should also belong, have the objects of same type. So all vectors starts with an initial capacity. Once the initial capacity is reached, the next time that we attempt to store an element in the vector automatically allocates the space for the object. Plus some additional memory is also allocated for the additional objects. So it is not always the increment by one. So it is increment with more than one value. So that the frequent memory operations, allocations and reallocations can be avoided. So by allocating more than just the required memory, it will reduce the number of allocations that take place, because the more the number of allocations, more the performance cost. The extra space allocated during each reallocation is determined by the increment that we specify. If we don't specify the increment, then the vector size is doubled by each allocation cycle. So apart from these, vectors has certain data members. Data members means the member variables. So the data members include the increment capacity, element count, and element data. So these are the data members, and these are protected data members. So protected means so they can be uh, used by the class that can be inherited by them. So the increment value is stored in the increment, that is the capacity increment. The number of elements currently in the vector is stored in the element count. So the array that holds the vector is stored in the element data. So in addition to the collection methods that are defined by the list, a vector defines several legacy methods also. Okay, so there are many methods that are specified in the vector classes. So let us look at them. So these are the methods that are present in the uh, vector class. Add element, element E is passed, and whatever element has been passed, that is added to the vector, where E is a type of the vector. Then int capacity, so that will return the capacity of the vector. So then clone, to duplicate a invoking vector, so we can use cloning. Then contains method, so contains method, when our element is passed, so it will return true if the passed element is present in the vector, otherwise it will return false. Then copy into, the element contained in the vector are copied into the array. So to which array it gets copied, that has to be passed as a parameter. Then we can extract a element at a particular location using the element at method. Then if you want to extract all the elements, so we can use elements method, and an enumerator will be returned. So an enumeration, using that we can iterate over all the elements. Then ensure capacity. So it is used to set the minimum capacity of the vector. Then index of, so if you want to extract the index of a particular element, then we can pass the element and call the index method. So this will return the index of the first occurrence of the element. If the element is not present, then it will return -1. Then insert uh, element. So insert at element at. This will add the element to the vector at a location which we can specify using the index. So the other methods in the vector class includes the isEmpty. So isEmpty method returns true if the vector is empty, otherwise it will return false. Then to extract a last element, we can use the last element method. Then last index of element. So the last occurrence of an element, we can extract its index by calling last index of method. So if the element is found, it will return the index, otherwise it will return -1. Then last index of and start is passed, returns the index of the last occurrence of the element before the start. So if object is not present, then obviously -1 will be returned. So remove all elements. So this will remove all the elements that are present in the vector. Then the vector will become empty. Then we can specifically specify and remove a particular element using the remove element method. The element we have to pass, that particular element will be removed from the vector. If it is successful to remove, it will return true. If the object itself is not found or the object cannot be removed, then it will return false. Then we can remove element based on the index also. So we pass the index, that particular element will be removed. Then set element at. So we can replace an element that is present in a specific index by passing both the element and the index. Then get set size. So set size sets the number of elements in the vector to this particular size. So if a new size is less than the old size, then the elements will be trimmed. That is, the elements are lost. So if the new size is larger than the older size, then null elements will be added into the vector. Then int size. So size written the number of elements that are currently in the vector. So capacity and size are two different things. So size is the number of elements, whereas capacity is the maximum elements that a vector can currently hold. Then toString, it will return a string variant or string equivalent of a vector. Then trim to size, it sets the vector capacity equal to the number of elements that it currently holds. So it is just reducing the capacity of the vector and the elements are not removed. So these are the methods that are present in the uh, vector class. So we shall look into a program before winding up, and we shall execute a vector and see how to use it. So let us look at this program. So vector demo. So here we are declaring a vector of integers. So with 3 comma 2, where 3 is the capacity and 2 is the increment. So two parameters we have passed. So that initial size we can print over here. So that is v dot in size. So size is different and capacity is different. Okay. So those two things we can print. Then we will add the elements. Add element 1, 2, 3, 4. So they are added. Then the capacity of after 4 additions will print. Then we will add one more and then we'll once again print it. So let us simply execute it and check the output. Okay, initial size is 0. So that is this particular print statement. So initial size is 0. Then v dot capacity. So initial capacity is 3. So because here 3 we have specified, so the initial capacity is 3. Then we have added it. Then after adding, once again we are printing. So capacity after 4 additions. So you can see capacity after 4 additions it is 5. So initial capacity is 3. When we add the fourth element, its capacity gets increased. So it's get increased by 2 because 2 is the increment type which we have specified. So it is 3 plus 2, 5. Then we will add one more element and again try to print the capacity here. Then it will print capacity is 5. Then we will add two elements and once again we can print the capacity. So it is showing it as 7. Then again we will add two more. Then it is 9. Then first element we can extract using v dot first element. So first element is 1. So v dot last element. So last element is 12. So 12 is the lastly added element. Then in order to verify whether v contains 3, so we can use v dot contains of 3. So if it is true, then it will print contains 3. So 3 as we have added it. So it is printing. Now let us change it to 13 and again check what it will print. So anyway, else statement we have not written, so it will not print it. So if you observe that print statement has vanished, then we can enumerate for all the elements in this vector using v dot elements. So print statement elements in the vector are, then using the has more elements and next element, we can just iterate and print all the elements that are in the vector. Okay. So the same thing, we can use the for each loop variant instead of using the has more elements. we can use has next, and next method we can also use in the whatever that is present in the collection, we can use them. So this is about vectors. So we can stop the discussion here today. So in our next class, so we shall discuss the remaining classes that are present in the legacy collections of Java, that is stack, then hash, dictionary, then properties. We can discuss and wind up the module 2. You can enter your attendance in the chat and exit.